Hey Gorilla family, and welcome to Gorilla TV. Thank you for being here. When it comes to the Crew 2, if you want to be more this and less this, then stick around for this video as I give you my top 10 tips on how to get better at drifting and how to score those massive over 100k combo sprees, whatever you bloody call them in the game. So without any further ado, and all the bullshit to one side, let's roll.
Oh, honey, though our friendship ceases from now on, please don't talk about me when I'm gone.
Okay, ladies and gents, this is my top 10 tips. Now, this video is going to take 2 or 3 minutes. It's not going to be a long one, so you can watch it, then get back to the crew and get drifting. Drifting is one of the hardest disciplines in the game, purely because not many people understand the philosophy. Oh, obviously they understand it. You go sideways and score points. It's not rocket science, but actually getting the skill for it is not easy at all. So my first tip is something that sounds simple enough, but it's something that I do every single time when I get to a new drift track, and that is learn the track. Now, if you stick it on easy setting, you only have to score 20,000 points. It's simple, and you can do it first time out, especially following these tips. But go around it a few times, understand where the bends are, where the long bends are, that you can get really long, nice drifts around it. Understanding the track is the principal lesson in all of these tips, because once you know that track, everything becomes easy. That leads me on to my second tip, and once you've learned the track, the next most important thing is learn the bloody rules. It's different to every game come across. Now, drifting came in with, I think, Need for Speed. It might have been GT. It's GT or Need for Speed, one of the two. And a lot of the rules get mixed up in that, because it was obviously one of the first games that spawned a massive genre. I mean, I think, what was that? Fast and the Furious, Tokyo Drift, the abomination of all movies, was spawned off this game, because it was a highly popular mode in the game. Now, in that game specifically, there was a combination of things. It was speed of the drift, angle of the drift, how close you get to the edges and stuff. Everyone assumes those rules are in this. They're not. The two most important things about drifting is the speed of the drift itself and the angle, and making sure you don't hit anything. So if you hit anything, or your drift slows down too much, or you're in too much of an angle, then it stops your multiplier, and that's what you want for your big combos. So understand the rules. One of my biggest things that I did when I learned how to drift in the Crew 2 was I messed up on purpose. I purposely put it in too much power into a corner and things like that, and I watched the multipliers just so I could see how they were reacting to what I was doing, and it came out that it didn't matter about the angle of the turn as much as it did in previous games. The most important thing is that your tyres are smoking. If your tyres are smoking, you're getting points, and the speed of it. Now, that I'll address later on, but for now, those are the two main rules that you need to worry about. Everything else is irrelevant, apart from obviously hitting the things, but that goes, you don't need me to tell you that, for God's sake. So, that leads me on to my third tip. Speed is more important than angle. Now, that doesn't mean you've got to gun it. If you gun it, you're going to get nowhere. The optimal speed for a drift is 60 miles per hour. Not 70, not 80. You don't want to be going flat out into a corner, because you'll just spin off or crash. And that's not what you want. You want to look like a drifting god, like I do in this video. So, the thing is that you've got to bear in mind is you want to aim for between 50 and 60 miles per hour for the drift. If you're slowing down too much, there's things you can do which I'll come on later on. But the main thing is, if you can get your racing lines right and aim for 50-60 miles an hour, then you're sorted. Primarily. My fourth tip, and this is a big one. Like I said with understanding the rules, the more you drift and the more you combine drift, the quicker your multiplier goes up. And the more your multiplier goes up, the more points you get. I know that sounds stupid, but going around one corner with 2 times points is going to get you a lot less than going around the same corner with 64 times points. So, having said that, you've got to attack straight out the gate. You've got to get into a drift as soon as possible. Again, you've already learned the track. You know about how well your car performs. You know you've got to hit corners at 40 to 60 miles an hour. But you need to be attacking straight away because you want to be building those combos up as soon as possible. And if you can do that, it gives you in a good stead for those massive figures, like over 100k. This leads me on to my 5th tip. If you panic and you start fishtailing or you start losing control of your car, it is better to just stop dead than waste time trying to save it. If that happens, you're not going for a world-beating score. You're just trying to get around the track at that point. So what you've got to do is you've got to bring yourself out the mindset of going for a world-beating score. I just want to get to the end of this, make sure I've got all my points and collect my loot and try again. Honestly, you will save yourself a lot of stress and save yourself a lot of gut ache from swallowing your controller if you just stop, get back in your racing line and start again. Tip number 6. Expensive cars doesn't mean good cars. Now I have learnt this one from making the mistake myself. Now my drift car, my favourite drift car is the Nissan 370Z. It is beautiful. It handles corners perfectly. You can get, it's not too big a car, so you can get through the tighter gaps. It's spot on. But me, like the vain bastard I am, who likes material things, thought, well, I wonder if a more expensive car would be better. Then I could get those 100k things, no problem at all. So I bought myself an RUF, or Porsche, drift car, at 300 and something thousand points, coins or whatever. And it was shite. utter shite. I would have rather had the first Mazda. It's terrible, completely terrible. So expensive car doesn't mean good car. What you want to be doing is aiming at the cars that are at the lower end of the scale and then building them up, actually leveling them up as you go, because if you do that, you'll be in a better stead, much better stead. My 7th tip comes from an old sniper adage: slow is smooth, smooth is fast. Now what that means is just you don't have to have a 100-mile-an-hour car like I touched on earlier. You don't want to be throttling your car constantly to try and get into drifts. If you just gently go into a corner and whack on you like full revs, you'll get into a drift and then start throttling it. You'll take your time round corners. Although speed is important, what is more important is control. And you're not going to control it if you're going all over the place. So the thing that you've got to bear in mind more than anything on earth is slow is smooth, smooth is fast. Let's move on to the next one. Now this is a bit of a controversial one because again, it's something that everybody forgets to use. But use your nitro. And I'll tell you where to use them as well. You use your nitro when your drift is slowing right down because you've gone into it. It's a nice big angle, a nice big corner, you're flying around it, but you've gone a little bit too much of an angle and you're slowing down, you're starting to hit 40, 30, 25 miles an hour. Use your nitro at that point. You've got enough space to control the drift and you can speed it right back up, which will gain you more points. Don't use your nitro on the straights because then you're going to be going into a corner too fast. Use it on a nice big corner where as soon as your drift starts slowing down, smack a full nitro burst and that will get you back on track. 9th tip. We're nearly there, folks. If you've fallen asleep, I tell you, I'm going to come round to your house and throw water on you. Wake up, lad. Wake up. We're nearly finished. So, 9th tip. When you come to a tight corner, use more of an angle. The more you angle your car, the slower the drift. So the tight corners, I know it goes against what you're thinking, because you want to like try and stay away from the edges. But a deeper angle of the car means a slower drift, which means you can get around the corner a lot easier. And the wider corners use nowhere near as deep an angle, and you will go faster and get more points. Again, you don't get points for the deeper the angle, so you might as well use that to your benefit. If you've got a nice, big, sweeping corner, don't go in as steep because you can get more speed, which gets you more points. Which leads me on to my last point, and this is the most important thing on earth. I guarantee if you do this, you will score 100, 200, 300, 400,000 every time. It's guaranteed. And that secret is, are you ready? Are you sat down? Have you got your controller ready to jump on the Crew 2 and do this right now? Practice. It's not rocket science. Practice over and over again. This video you see now is my best ever score. It was 183,000 points. I was literally jumping for joy, hugging the wife and kissing a dog when I got it. I was so joyous. But that took me neck end of 8 hours of practicing to get to that point, because I am not a good gamer. Now there will be those out there who could piss that without even thinking twice. Hell, on the track that I'm doing there, the world record is 685,000. How they've done? They're cheating. They're cheating. I'm telling you now, they're cheating. It is impossible. Unless you're going the speed of light round them corners, it is bloody impossible. So they're cheating. Telling you, bastards. So, calm down, Mr. B. Calm down. Come on. In, out. Right. So, practice. You've got to practice, and I guarantee after a couple of hours, you'll get the hang of it. Use the other 9 tips. You'll get the hang of it. You'll start seeing what I'm talking about. And then you'll get your own style. It might be more frantic than mine. You might disregard all the tips completely. But it works, I promise you. So that is my 10 tips. Mr. B, back to you. Hey up everybody, welcome back. That was my top tips to become a drifting god. Now it is statistically proven that your opposite sex, or same sex, whichever you prefer, loves drifting and will be more attracted to you if you become a god. So if you practice all 10 tips, you're sorted. What a lot of crap. Anyway, so when you put it all together, all those top 10 tips, if you put them all and literally do them properly, you will become better, I guarantee it. And if you don't, you can comment below and tell me how much of a liar I am. But we all know I'm not a liar. Something I will address quite vigorously on Sunday. You're going to love that one. Speaking of which, I do have a bit of a giveaway going at the moment, so if you haven't seen it, I'm going to put it up here. Basically what this is a giveaway for Battlefield 5. Watch the video, find out the details. Once again, thank you for being here. I love all the support that you're giving. It's fantastic. That's all from me, Mr. B. Ta-ta for now.